Hello there, and welcome back to Play the Game with Steve. Villains Beyond, episode 17. Alrighty. Ronan the Accuser. Alright, in this episode we're going to take a look at Ronan's stats, his signature cards that are designed to destroy the heroes. We're going to take also a look at some of the unique mechanics of the scenario and some of the ways that you can avoid major punishment. And then finally, we're going to take a look at some of the modular sets that you can include to maybe lower the difficulty, increase the fun, and just try this villain out one more time. And maybe have the dance-off that you've been waiting for. So all this and more on this episode of Villains Beyond, Ronan the Accuser. All right, Ronan the Accuser has 3 stages. He is an accuser and a Cree on all 3. He also has a forced interrupt on all 3 stages that says when Ronan the Accuser activates against you, you give him an additional boost card if you control the Power Stone. And then on stage 1, he has 2 scheme, 2 attack, toughness, and 14 hit points per player. On stage 2, 2 scheme, 3 attack, toughness, 18 hit points per player, and a when revealed. Search the encounter deck and discard pile for the cut the power side scheme and reveal it. And then on stage 3, he has 3 scheme, 4 attack, retaliate 1, and toughness, and has 25 hit points per player. And then also the when revealed, search the encounter deck and discard pile for the superior tactics side scheme and reveal it. So as you can see, Ronan definitely wants that Power Stone, and he will find many ways to get it. Ronan has 2 main schemes. The first one, 1A, has a setup ability to put the Cree command ship environment and the Milano support into play. And you will attach the universal weapon to Ronan the Accuser, and then attach the Power Stone to the first player. On stage 1B, it starts at 2 per player. It goes up by 2 per player, has a cap of 7 per player, and also has an action first player that can exhaust the Milano to remove 3 threat from this scheme. All right. And then if you lose that one, which happens quite easily, 2A will have a when revealed. You'll attach the Power Stone to Ronan the Accuser, and if he already has it, you will give him a face down boost card. And then take what is mine starts at 1 per player, goes up by 2 per player, has a maximum of 10 per player. And if the stage is completed, the players lose the game. But there is also something very important. While the Power Stone is attached to Ronan the Accuser, threat cannot be removed from this scheme. And that, my friends, makes things very complicated when you are playing against Ronan. All right. So that is that for that. Now let's take a look at the Cree command ship. So the Cree command ship is an environment call, an aerial vehicle with a hazard symbol, and says the first player interrupt. When a treachery card is revealed from the encounter deck, you can exhaust the Milano and spend 1 resource of any type. Cancel that card's when revealed effect. Now, obviously, it doesn't help with surging. So if you are playing on expert and you get surges, you'll still reveal another card. So sometimes, you know what, it's just better to just let it happen and then see what happens next. Trying to keep those cancels for, let's say, Shadows of the Past and stuff like that. The really nasty ones. All right. Okay, now let's take a look at his universal weapon. So he has an attachment called the universal weapon. It is a weapon that gives him +1 scheme, +1 attack. Also has a boost ability to attach this to Ronan. And so Ronan, once he has the universal weapon, gains stalwart. That means we cannot stun or confuse him. There is a hero action to take 2 damage and deal yourself 1 face down encounter card and shuffle universal weapon into the encounter deck. So that is a way to get rid of his stalwart. So once you can stun and confuse Ronan, this game gets a little bit easier. But obviously, this weapon is meant to keep coming back out. Now, the other attachments that he have is something called fanaticism, and that is the killer. That is the one that destroys people. The fact that it has surge makes that even worse. All right, so first of all, we'll attach to Ronan the Accuser. It uses 1 Fury counter plus 1 additional Fury counter per player. So he starts at 1, and then let's say there's 4 players, it will go to 5. If there's 2 players, it will go to 3. It gives him plus 1 attack, and it says a forced interrupt when Ronan the Accuser attacks you. That attack gains overkill and piercing, and at the end of the attack, remove a Fury counter from here. So the fact that there's 2 of those are cards that you definitely want to see discarded or go away as much as you can, because these are the brutal ones. All right, now he's got a bunch of side schemes as well that make it very, very hard. So you are in space, and there's 2 copies of Pincer Maneuver. This starts at 3, has Hinder 2, so a when revealed. You'll place 2 threat here per player. So it's 5, 7, 9, or 11. So that can be really, really harsh. Then it also has 2 accelerations. So double accelerations means that main scheme is going to go up really, really fast. There is a first player action that we can exhaust the Milano to remove 3 threat from the scheme. So if you haven't used the Milano to cancel the treachery, at least this can kind of help you bring it down a little bit. All right, so that is the first one. The second one is Cut the Power. Comes in with a crisis icon, 3 per player. Has a boost effect. Choose to either exhaust the Milano or place 2 threat on the main scheme. Obviously, 2 threat is always going to go on the main scheme. You're never exhausting that Milano unless it's to cancel something really nasty. And finally, the Superior Tactics. The Power Stone cannot be unattached from Ronan the Accuser. So that is very, very difficult as well, especially if you're on the second main stage. When revealed, you'll attach the Power Stone to Ronan the Accuser, and if it's already attached to him, you'll place an additional 1 threat per player here. So 2 per player. If he already has the stone, it's 3 per player. So got to be careful. All right, then he's got a bunch of treacheries, and these, again, are all meant for you to get punished, and he wants that stone if you took it away from him. You stand accused. He's got 3 copies of that, so obviously that is what is going to happen. When revealed in Alter Ego, Ronan the Accuser schemes with +1 scheme. In hero form, he attacks you with +1 attack. And as a boost, you'll give the villain an additional boost card for the activation. So again, Ronan really wants to activate against you, really wants to get that Power Stone as much as possible. Then he has 2 copies of Single-Minded Fury. When revealed, Ronan the Accuser attacks the player who controls the Power Stone, even if that player is in Alter Ego form. But if no attacks are made this way, this card gains Surge. And as a boost effect, attach the Power Stone to Ronan the Accuser. Now, why this card is so dangerous is if he has a Fanaticism, and then he gets this card and then attacks you, and you still have the Power Stone, then you're most likely dead. So Ronan can definitely inflict a lot of pain. And then finally, he's got 2 copies of Kree Physiology. It's a Surge card, so more surging. When revealed, give Ronan the Accuser a tough status card, and if he already has a tough, you'll take 1 damage. So that is it for his signature cards. So now that we've seen his kit, what makes Ronan so much more difficult than, let's say, any other villain that has a high attack and high damage output? Well, I believe it's because Ronan actually has 5 extra activations that can attack you. So I think the most we had seen before was 3. And so Ronan coming in with an extra 5, if you count the 3 that come in the standard set, the assaults and the gang up, that makes it another 8 activations. 8 extra activations that the villain can have against you, which if you are unlucky and get 2 or 3 in a row, it could be really, really punishing. Not only that, the fact that he also has the card that will kill pretty much anyone in one shot with the Fanaticism. That is why Ronan really feels like one of the most difficult villains in the game. Now, there's definitely ways around this, and that's what we're going to be exploring here. How can we play Ronan and just maybe enjoying the scenario a little bit more? So I think the secret to that is going to be trying to dilute Ronan's deck as much as possible. Also, one of the big recommendations I would say is play with the Milano and leave ship command behind. Again, I kind of recommended this with Nebula as well. Again, so you can actually use the Milano for different purposes. And the Milano can actually be used either as a resource, or it can use to always cancel a treachery and not worry about anything else. So I think this is going to be the first recommendation to kind of modify Ronan a little bit. How can you make his deck more fun? So let's go take a look at some of the modular sets I would recommend to decrease Ronan's difficulty. All right, let's start talking about recommendations to kind of tune down Ronan the Accuser, because he really does feel like he is overtuned. So for this video, it's going to be a little bit different. Instead of trying to increase thematics and all that stuff, let's just find ways to make Ronan more enjoyable as a scenario, even though it is still painful. And I think there's nothing you can do to change that if you get some bad encounter cards in a row. Regardless of what you put in the encounter deck, it might still be unfun for you. So I'm not gonna push that says that my recommendations are gonna make every game easier, but they're definitely gonna be helping out in to giving you the best chances possible versus Ronan. So the first modular set that I would 100% recommend to include is from the Green Goblin scenario pack. It is the Goblin Gimmicks. This comes with 2 Pumpkin Bombs, 2 Goblin Gliders, 2 Regenerative Healings, and 2 Intimidations. So this is a 8-set modular set that has some very, very weak effect cards. Bomb Scare, Pumpkin Bombs. It's an attachment that, when he attacks, you'll take 2 indirect damage. Big whoop. The Goblin Glider gives him +1 attack. He's already punching for a ton, so whatever. What's another +1? The Intimidation can be dangerous, but as a treachery card, give him a boost card. Yeah, whatever. He's already getting boost cards if you got the stone anyway. So I think this modular set is really going to tone him down, because then once you get some of these cards, you'll be like, oh, okay, the villain's turn wasn't that bad. So adding those cards to the encounter deck should really reduce that negative feeling. I really enjoy and recommend pairing this up with the other modular set that was included in the Goblin scenario. It is the Electro modular set called Power Drain. This has a lot of effects that discard cards from the encounter deck. Now, again, if you get rid of his universal weapon that you're supposed to attach to him, once you get rid of that and you shuffle that, having cards like this that discard cards from the encounter deck might just get rid of this weapon for you, and then you don't have to deal with it again. So this is why this is a very strong recommendation. And there's 4 cards that remove 3 cards. So that's 12 cards that just leave the deck for free. And obviously you have the Power Drain, and you have a nice little side scheme here. Again, nothing very dangerous. Discard a card and he heals. Discard 2 cards and take indirect damage. So nothing super scary that is going to be like completely overtuned. All right, so those are the recommendations for kind of diluting his deck with some, easy cards. The other one I do recommend as well in the same kind of optics, it is the Bomb Scare. Yes, it does come with 2 false alarms that will confuse you, and that could mess you up if you are a Justice player and you are struggling for control. But again, removing a confusion, it's not the end of the world on that. Again, the side scheme called Bomb Scare, you place 1 per player, so it can go up to like 5. Even if you get the explosion and it is at max, you're separating the amount of damage that has threat on this. So if you leave this one at 1 and explosion comes out, you'll take 1 indirect damage and just laugh. So it's not that bad. And then it also has a couple of Hydro Bombers. These are easy minions that you can just kind of, you know, take out right away. So again, not very scary stuff to go in his kit. So that for me is a very good way to tone down Ronan to a very manageable and playable level. To combine this bomb scare with, I recommend from the Hood scenario pack, the Ransacked Armory. So you can give those little bombers a few attachments to make him a little bit stronger. And there's also 2 armored guards that add a little layer of protection for Ronan in the deck. So this suggestion paired with the Ransacked Armory and the Bomb Scare, very good combination. I've played it before. I don't play Ronan often, but when I do want to have like, you know what, let's go revisit Ronan. Adding these modular sets that I'm recommending really makes it a much more pleasant experience. All right, now let's go into a different type of recommendation. Let's recommend how can we make Ronan stronger, but not harder. So this is what I mean by making Ronan stronger. Adding modular sets that increase and that have a lot of attachments is going to be one way to do that. So the Weapons Master this comes from the Rise of Red Skull scenario pack, has 2 Weapons Masters if he has a weapon. It would gain Surge and he attacks you, but if you get rid of that weapon, then it's easy peasy. And then Concussion Grenade, you can get stunned or confused depending what side you are on. So not that bad. It also has a couple of weapons that give him range. So if you have Retaliate, boo-hoo, you don't retaliate anymore. Combat Knife gives piercing. So if you are tough, that might be a weapon that you want to remove. But again, I'd rather get one of these than a Fanaticism. So that's a nice combination here. So Weapons Master, adding that to the Experimental Weapons, which is, again, not making Ronan more challenging, but just making Ronan stronger with these cards. So this is a nice 2-combo modular set that you can play off of and have some fun and still keep Ronan at a decent level. Now, this does make it a little challenging because it is only a 4-card modular set and a 5-card modular set. So that's only 9 cards. And then the normal scenario had, I think, 14 or 15 extra modulars cards. So that will make Ronan's deck a little thinner. But if you want to compensate and add a 3rd modular, then you can add the Under Attack, which has the Side Scheme, the 2 Concussive Blasts that deal 1 damage to everything, and a couple of extra attachments. If you want to give him a nice 14-card modular like combination here with 3 modular sets. So those are the recommendations to make Ronan stronger, but not necessarily harder. All right, and then finally, my last recommendations to kind of play with Ronan is giving Ronan an army. So here's my suggestions for his armies. Armies of Titan that came in the Mad Titan Shadow box. These are pretty fun. They're guards. They're a little bit stronger than the armored guards because they do have an effect. They give them tough, and when you defeat them, give them tough. The Outriders will make you discard cards, so a little bit more punishing, but not to the point where you're just like, I'm just gonna cry. And then the Landing Gears, which are 2 side schemes with a couple of accelerations. So those are pretty nice. And then I like to combine this modular set with the Inheritors modular set that has 8 minions plus a side scheme that discards cards from the top and tries to find Inheritor minions. Now, these obviously are a little bit stronger. So if you're looking to play on a little bit higher difficulty, making Ronan a little bit more challenging without making him oppressive. Now, this is a good balance on Ronan being a good challenge versus Ronan being he's just going to obliterate me. So that is something I do recommend for that. So Inheritors with the Armies of Titan is a good 2 modular set combo. Again, has, I think, 15 cards put together. And then finally, another nice little pairing is the Sentinel Project with Operation Zero Tolerance. Again, we've seen these Sentinels before. I think it's a really fun modular set. I really enjoy playing against the Sentinels, even if I'm not playing X-Men characters. So for me, it's adding 14 cards to his deck that I don't have a problem dealing with. I think they're just fine. They're a little bit more challenging than, let's say, the Goblin Gimmicks and Shock and the Power Drain modular. So if I do enjoy a little bit more on the challenge wise. Ronan is already challenging enough, but I like putting modular sets that I do enjoy a little bit more. So you might have seen these recommended a couple more times than some of the other ones. It's just because I really feel that this is a very solid modular set without being an oppressive modular set. So those are my suggestions for that, to make Ronan just a little bit more playable in the different levels, whether you're playing him on standard or on expert. These modular recommendations should do the trick to make it more enjoyable. All right, so on that note, let's take a look at some of the aspect cards that I highly recommend that you play to help you in your battle versus Ronan. All right, so we got this in the Wolverine scenario pack, the Wolverine hero pack. It is Sunfire. Sunfire with a lightning resource can get rid of this weapon attachment, and it never comes back out until the next deck pass. So Sunfire, definitely the guy you want to add in aggression. And adding a Wolverine, the fact that he has piercing is going to shred through Ronan's armor like knives through butter, hot knife through butter. So these two allies are your best friend if you are playing in aggression. If you're going to go into the protection route, I highly recommend Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler can help you versus any attacks. If you're playing an X-Men character, you can just bounce him, especially if Ronan has Fanaticism. If you're playing an X-Men character, for one lightning resource, you can absorb the entire attack of a Fanaticism attack, and just by bouncing him and then playing him again and again, and then that 2 thwart and 2 attack can also help a lot. So Nightcrawler, number one recommendation. Second number, I would say, if you're playing an X-Men. If you're not playing X-Men, I would highly recommend instead Black Widow, another 3-cost card. Black Widow will just cancel any card. So if he does get the Fanaticism, by spending a mental resource, you can just cancel that Fanaticism so it doesn't come out, and then you are safe. And then there's a lot more chances that you can block your his attacks with allies and stuff like that. And then finally, if you are playing a Web Warrior strategy, or if you have a Web Warrior in your deck, Spider-Man Noir, he can actually get rid of some of those treacheries. So X is equal to the amount of treacheries under Spider-Man Noir, but he has a response after you resolve a treachery, whether it be you stand accused or stuff like that, or even some of his attack cards. If you can get rid of those under Spider-Man Noir, that just makes this game a lot easier, because then he's going to be losing some of his signature cards that are going to punish us under Spider-Man Noir. And you just keep him as a treachery collector. So there you go. So these are some of the encounter cards in protection that I highly recommend. Then Injustice, again, that being able to control with global logistics, having at least one shield card to be able to exhaust, to look at the top 4 cards. Recommend playing 3 of these if you are running a Justice deck. Again, you want to be able to remove this universal weapon, and if you can know what you're going to get as an encounter card, and you can know that you can, with the global logistics, just get rid of that universal weapon again, man, that is just gravy train. So global logistics with a little bit of a shield without having to go all out shield strategy, because against Ronan, I don't think it's fast enough, but just having at least one shield card to be able to use the global logistics makes a big difference on knowing like, oh, well, how is he going to attack me? How is it going to come? What's the villain's turn going to be like? Global Logistics is a key card in Justice versus Ronan. Then we also have in Leadership, Regroup. Again, Ronan, if you're playing with some of these recommended modular sets, Ronan, unless he gets the Fanaticism, is the only time he will have the Overkill. So being able to recur your allies, and then having more and more blockers, Maria Hills, and then what's the other ones there that are really good? White Tiger to draw more cards and stuff like that. So any of those allies that have these cool enter the battlefield effects, like Nick Fury, is going to be very, very good with the Regroup. Definitely recommend this card. And then finally, last but not least, you want to be running Target Acquired playing Ronan, whether you're playing him on Standard or on Expert. Target Acquired should be at least 2 copies in your deck, and you should always put them down as a priority card, because then if you get rid of that weapon and then he draws it as a boost card, you can just get rid of the Target Acquired and get rid of them. Remember that it's only a max 1 per player, but having 2 in the deck is going to be good to make sure that you have one at the right time. And that is it for my recommendations for Ronan. So hopefully this video was informative enough, and that you want to try Ronan again with some of these recommended modular sets pairings that I suggested. Let me know what you think about in the comments, if there's any other modular sets that you like to play with Ronan, if you even like to play with Ronan. So on that note, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Keep on playing Marvel Champions, and just remember to have some fun and play the game. Ciao, ciao. We'll see you next one.